King Will I Am. It's good to see you, bro. Hey, we got beautiful Queen Jacqueline. She finna ready to come and holler at us, bro. May the Most High always hold you guys, to keep you and protect you, bro. We got a wonderful lesson tonight, bro. Let's go.
to let it fall. Oh, let it fall. So Holy Spirit, we need you to come arrest our hearts, come into our lives. We want more of your presence, more of your spirit, more of your love and your mercy and healing. We want more of your presence, more of your spirit, more of your love and your mercy and healing. We want more. God, we need you. More of your love and your mercy and healing. We want more. We need you. We need you. We need you. Oh, we want more. Father, we're crying out to you, Jesus. We're crying out to you, Jesus. I want you. I want you. Fill me up, Lord. We want more of your love and your mercy and healing. We want more of your presence, more of your spirit, more and your mercy and healing. We've come today, Lord. We need you, Jesus. We desire your presence, 'cause in your presence there is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures evermore. Oh, come down, Holy Spirit. 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 God, we need you. Yes, we need the breath of life. Oh, we need the power of your presence, Lord. Yes. So we sing, oh, we need you. We need you. We need you. Lord, let your glory fall. We need you. Oh, Father, your presence is all we need.
All praises to the Most High Yah, families, all high esteem. I first want to give all thanks, glory, honor, and power, families, to the Most High Yah Yahuwah, His only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, those that call Him Jesus Christ of Nazareth, all around the world, best known as Emmanuel, and that fire, families, that set apart Rahakadash, families, the Holy Spirit. Man, I want to give a big shout out, man, to one of my brothers, King Will I Am. I see ya, King. Hey, Kwam Yasharala, where we at? We at you. Let's go. As well as beautiful Queen Jacqueline that was in the building, families. I think she might be at work. But with that being said, families, I want to say shalom. Beautiful Queen Jacqueline, I see you, big sis. Oh, there go a daughter Zion at you. Let's go. Families, this lesson right here is going to be absolutely amazing. I played Isabel Davis, families, because the spirit that's within inside of her, families, is absolutely remarkable. That is a person that truly know how to sing songs to the Most High Yah. And families, that's the exact same thing that we're going to be doing. Now, families, people don't understand about Sheol. I did sit there and say, families, that I will show us a wonderful video. That video, I am going to postpone that because we have one of my ox. Man, he ended up doing Sheol today. And families, Sheol is deeper than what most people think. Some people know it as Hades, but Hades is known as a Greek term, families. Once you start learning the different languages, get out of that Western mind state, get out of that Christian mind state, and start coming to a Hebraic understanding, families. Everything that the Holy Bible, the Holy Scriptures is dealing with, there are certain key players. Most of these key players, families, that's dealing with prophecies. The first time that you hear about, if you look it up, families, all you got to do is just put in when was prophecy mentioned for the first time, and you'll find that in the book of Chronicles. You'll find that in Chronicles, families. That's the first time that prophets, not prophets, we talking about prophecies, families. My brother Yaki, he did a wonderful lesson from Honor and Humility on that, families, about how everybody out here is talking about you need to get ready to prepare yourself. You need to prep yourself. We've been talking about a wilderness. We steady talking about this wilderness, steady telling you to prepare yourself, steady telling you to get in order, steady telling you that you need to know structure, families. People is not listening. So, families, this right here is trying to get you an understanding about they calling it 3 departments. And families, it is because when Yeshua sat there and told the what was that? What was it? A beggar that when they was getting crucified, families. And then the one he said and said that you will meet me in paradise. Families, when he meant about paradise, he was talking about in Sheol, families, in the center of the earth. And they was going to be in Abraham's bosom. Families, he wasn't literally talking about heaven. People got to, if you stay in that Christian mindset, you're never going to understand a Hebraic understanding. Hey, best believe the heathens know what's coming in store, families. They do. Man, it sits there and says that even nature itself knows how to prepare itself, families. Prepare yourself for what? You either going to prepare yourself for salvation, which means to rescue, which means to deliver, or you're going to prepare yourself to something that's going to be a utter destruction, families. Either or, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. So how are you trying to prep yourself in this hour? Families, we're going to do one more song before we go to our lesson. It's going to be called Deeper. Because, family, sometimes, man, some people tell you got to get out the matrix. Yes, you got to get out of a physical matrix and get into a spiritual matrix, families. At the end of the day, you is going to be in a matrix. Why? Because the matrix is symbolic for consciousness, families. Your mind, man. It's all about your thoughts, your ideas, what you manifesting into, families. What are you trying to manifest into? It's always going to be spiritual, my brothers and sisters. If you're going to continue to think carnal, you will never understand mysteries. And families, the mysteries that we is trying to get an understanding is this Hebrew Bible, this book, a book full of prophecies and a book full of judgments. People don't understand about blessings and curses. Let's get this song in our soul, family, so we can get into it. Families, man, you will find Sheol in Luke chapter 16, 15 through 31. That precept to that will be the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 8. And then when you read verse 8, you will jump down to 16. You as well will find it in the book of Hosea when it talks about the grave. The grave is when Sheol is actually meaning death. Everybody heard about one of the 4 horsemen. One of the horsemen is named what? Death. Death will lead you to your what? Grave. And that's where you get the Hebraic understanding, not no Western understanding, not no Greek understanding, not no whatever. It's a Hebraic understanding about dry bones. Let's get deeper, family.
Lord, I wanna touch your heart. No longer standing on the outside looking in. Lord, I wanna see your smile. And know it's there because I'm pleasing you. Lord, I wanna touch your heart. So tired of standing on the outside looking in. Wanna be where you are. Lord, I wanna see your smile. I know it's there because I'm pleasing you. Deeper, Lord, to the place where it can just be me and you. I want to get closer, Lord. Gonna find your heart and lose myself in you. Oh, take me deeper, Lord, to the place where it can just be me and you. Wanna be alone with you. Oh, I want to get closer, Lord. Gonna find your heart, then lose myself in you.
Come on, Yashua. Rock with me.
Deeper, Lord, closer, Lord. Deeper, Lord, please draw me closer.
Shalom, beautiful Queen Jacqueline.
Deeper, Lord, closer,
All
Lord.
Israel scattered abroad on all four corners of this planet. All praises.
Oh, deeper, closer, Lord. Deeper, Lord, please draw me closer to you. Wanna be where you are. Closer, Lord. Deeper, Lord, please draw me.
Let's go, family.
I've got to live deeper. Deeper into you, oh God. Closer, closer. Deeper, Lord, to the place where I can be alone with you. Closer, Lord, gonna find your heart and lose myself in you. Wanna be lost in you, wanna be lost in you. Deeper, Lord. Oh, to the place where it can be me and you. Shut off the outside. Wanna be closer. Just wanna find your heart. Then get lost in you. Deeper, Lord, closer, Lord. Deeper, Lord, please draw me closer to you. Deeper, Lord, closer, Lord.
Okay, my brothers and sisters. That way that you will have the precepts that you need, my brothers and sisters. That way that you have the precepts you need because we have to go to our lesson. This lesson is absolutely powerful, and man, don't no daughter or son of a Zion right now need to miss this mystery that is finna to be displayed right now. We had a wonderful group, man, that has been doing some major study in families, and that has really been trying to receive the fire, the true purification of the Most High families, and He has been showing them wonders. He really has. True understanding, families, that certain individual will read through scriptures and will really skip the true Hebraic meaning behind every single line. I have been one of them. I have been one of them that know which precepts to go to, and I have an understanding to it. But there's a deeper, much deeper understanding than what I even thought that I knew. And I want to thank the Most High Yah for turning these dry bones alive again. I know how to be quiet, families. I know how to stay in my place. My father was in the military for a long time. But families, there's no children of Yasharala supposed to be in no man's military. The army that you is in, families, is not from this world. It's time for us to go to our lesson. Before I do that, families, we have to go to the book of Colossians. I think it'll be chapter 15. Or is it 13 and 15? Might be chapter 13 and 15. Oh, it's tripping. Hold on, families, my bad. Nope. Hold on, families. We in the book of Colossians, chapter 1. My apologies, families. And we got to read verse 16. That way we can get this understanding about what's going to go into our lesson. No, we got to read verse 14 through 16. No, 17. In whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Most High, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created. Now, in this passage right here is telling you that Yeshua created everything that are in the heavens, he created. That are in earth, he created. How do you know that? Because in verse 15, it told you who it was. And he said that says that he was the firstborn of every creature. That's how you know it's Yeshua that he's talking about in verse 16. And that are in earth, he created man as well. He's letting you know that. And everything that was in the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions and principalities. He also created the angels, or powers, and things were created by him and for him. Because how you know this? Because he was the word when you read in the book of John. And he is before all things, and by him all things consisted. And he is the head of the body. That's how they gave you the answer in verse 18. They gave you the answer. The church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, what we've been ready to go over now, Sheol, that in all things he might have the preeminence. Okay, families. Now we got to get an understanding about names. People run away from names. Nah, the Most High sit there and says, "Do you?" There was a passage that sit there and says that, what is the Father's name? Do you know His Son's name? You can find that in Proverbs 30 and 4. 30 and 4. Find the King James Bible. Proverbs chapter 30 and 4. We need the King James Bible. Who has ascended into heaven or descended? We already know who has went to heaven and descended down. Check this out. Who has gathered the wind in his fist from all four corners of the earth? When he's talking about winds, he is talking about 12 tribes, families. You got 3 to the east, you got 3 to the north, you got 3 to the west, and you got 3 to the south, families. Them are talking about the 12 stars in Revelation. Yasharallah. Let's go. Who have ascended up into heaven or descended? Who have gathered the wind in his fist? Who have bound the waters in the garment? Who have established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? What is his son's name? If thou canst tell. He letting you know that in this hour, families, you understand the mysteries and you really searching the scripture, you trying to seek him, you're going to truly find the Father's name. Because, families, there is no name more high than Yeshua, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Emmanuel. Let's go, man. How do you know this? Because when you look up certain definition in this Hebraic meaning, families, it's going to show you something. Watch this. The reason why we have to do this, families, is because you would never know what Sheol even have an understanding on based upon. Watch, just trust your brother. Trust me. Watch this. Jesus in Hebrew meaning. The name Jesus is derived from a Hebrew name Yeshua, which is based on a symmetric root, Hebrew meaning to deliver or to rescue. Now, family, this is telling you that it's to deliver and to rescue what the name Jesus stands for. Now, families, we already know that he is our salvation. He is our deliverer. He is your what? Redeemer. But for this, it sits there and says to deliver, to rescue. Watch this. So when you put in rescue in Hebrew, when you put in rescue in Hebrew, it means salvation, deliverance, rescue, liberty, division. The key word here, families, was salvation and deliverance and liberty. Let's go. So now, families, you will put in deliver. Deliver in Hebrew. It will mean the exact same thing. Meaning what? Hamashiach standing for the Messiah. It stands for the Messiah, the anointed one. Christ. Let's go. Meaning savior, deliverer, helper, savior. Check this out, families. They were like, man, what do this got to do about Sheol? Because families, it was him that delivered you when you went to your grave. It was him that saved you, families, man, when you was in existence and you was breathing, families, and he gave you true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He was your helper. He was your savior. Check this out. Savior in Hebrew. Uh-oh. They put in a saint schedule. Savior in Hebrew. It meaning to be a redeemer, a lifeguard, savior, deliverer. The exact same thing. They were like, so okay, so you repeating yourself because he tells you, families, that when he tell you 3 times, that's standing for what? Confirmation. Everything's is always going to deal with threes, but the name is not what's important in this. What's important is what we looking for is salvation. Check this out. So now you put in Yeshua, right? They were like, oh crap, what Mo got going on? He over here trying to make people say, no, I'm not. Families, we letting you know that in order for you to get a Hebraic understanding, there gonna be certain names that's gonna pop up, families, and you ain't gonna have no idea what these names even mean if you don't look them up. Period. Let's go. Yeshua in Hebrew. What is this meaning? Yeshua in Hebrew is a verbal derivative from to rescue, to deliver. Among the Jews of the Second Temple period, what was that Second Temple period? During that Second Temple period, families, is when it was established, and then when it got torn down in 70 AD. That is very important. Why is that very important? Because when you read about Joshua, Yehoshua, families, in Hebrew, that name has some meaning to it. Why? Because he was named after Joshua. Check this out, man. We gotta wake up. Watch this. So when you look up Joshua, right? Watch this. Hold on, families. I know time going, families, but we gonna get there. So when you look up Joshua in Hebrew, it's gonna be spelling with a Josh. So what you do is that you put in Yahoshua. And what is that meaning, families? Yahusha is the proposed transliteration of the original Hebrew name of the Messiah. Why did he sit there and says the Messiah in this passage? But when you put in Jesus' name, it sits there and says to deliver and to rescue. Why is that so important? Because all the names has power during each era, families, during each dispensation, families, when when Israel was in captivity, when we was in the Egyptian captivity, when we was in the Roman captivity, when we was in the Persian captivity, and the captivity that we is in right now, families, powerful. This is powerful. No, you is not going to get no Western understanding when it comes down to understanding names and what it got to do with prophecy. That's why the Most High sat there and says that I will give you true teachers, elders, prophets, families, so you can get an understanding on prophecy. Why? Because families, back then, you had to be 20 years old, families, and be of age to get out for what? The milk. To get off the milk so you can get the meat of the spiritual, the matrix, spiritual matrix. People gotta wake up. This is a Hebraic understanding, families. Ain't no Gentile is gonna teach you this type of understanding that we're going to get into, families, if you don't understand names, if you don't understand meanings, if you don't understand power. A name holds power. Man, y'all better, man, families, Israel, my brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of Zion, I'm trying to let you know right now. What you speak holds power. And if you put a name behind what you speak, you is giving that name power. So that's like you always coming to me like, Mo Valley, man, I like to thank you. You giving me high esteem. So you giving my name more power. Instead of you giving the high esteem and the name that you supposed to be praising is to Yah, to your father. Because I'm his child. You ain't even supposed to be like, no. But families, we finna get in order. We finna get in structure. Best believe that we have to. It's a must. Because Judah must rise. Because Judah is the what? The lawmakers. You're going to have a lot of people in this time, family, that's going to mock Judah in this hour. Because they are a very, very foolish nation right now. How they so foolish right now? Before we even go there, watch this. Yahusha is the proposed transliteration of the original Hebrew name of the Messiah. It sits there and says that do not let no man deceive you, because there are going to be many that are going to sit there and say they're going to come in the name of Christ. Messiah is also supposed to be standing for the anointed one, also referred to in modern times as Jesus. The name means Yahweh is salvation. Now watch this, families. Check this out right here, though. Watch this, families. So when you put in Yahushua, it's actually telling you that Yahweh is salvation, families, because that's what we're looking for. We right now is looking for one save, all save, that people like to say, right? All right, so your main key that you need to be focusing on if you're trying to get the keys to the kingdom is what? Salvation. Watch this. Yahuwah. Yahuwah. Meaning in Hebrew. Yahweh. 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 Or Yahweh. They steady trying to leave that Y out, and they trying to keep that J there, right? But watch this. A name for the Most High, thought to represent the original pronunciation of the tetragrammaton among the ancient, because he's supposed to be known as the what? Ancient of Days. Conventional pronunciation of the tetragrammaton, written in Hebrew as Yo Hey Vav Hey. See how the Semitic roots, because we come out of what? Shem. Once you start breaking down these genealogies, but they told you, man, don't be worried about genealogy, because genealogies is not meant for those that's on the milk. Genealogies is only meant for those that are trying to grow wiser, and they are truly in the meat of the scriptures. You starting to understand what names mean. Watch this, families. Man, my studies was deep. So you will have to go to Deuteronomy chapter 32 to even understand the reason why most people are so confused. Because the Most High made you confused. He's going to keep you confused until you open up, until you wake all the way up. If you don't wake up, if you don't start denouncing certain things that you be doing, like myself, I have to denounce certain things. I knew I had to be retaught again because I read certain scriptures, man, that checked me. These scriptures are supposed to check you. You don't go use these scriptures to go check another individual. You abusing the power that was never even given to you, because it was given to only priests. Because the priests back then knew how to use the power, man, to teach the people. So this why the Most High did what he gonna do. Verse 20, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 20. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. What is their end? Their end, families, don't mean the end of your life. The end is the end of Israel. And we're going to get that understanding pretty soon. Watch this. For they are very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. Now, families, when you make the Most High mad, families, He's going to punish you. And that's our problem right now because we don't fear His what? Judgment. We got a lot of brothers out here trying to wake you up on judgment season. How can nature itself prepare itself, families, for some type of destruction? And Israel don't even know how to prepare themselves, families, when the Most High wrote it down for you. That's crazy. Watch this, though. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger. I shall burn unto the lowest hell. Lowest hell, we talking about Sheol right now. Because people don't know what hell mean. People literally really think that you finna go to heaven when heaven finna come down here to this earth. And the hell that you have in your mind, the way that you think, and it be making you, cause when you think foolish, you thinking hellish. The Most High finna show you something. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn into the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. Now we need to bag this precept up, families, to Psalms chapter 139. And we gotta read verse 8, and then you gotta jump down to verse 16 because we talking about Sheol, right? Families, you don't do Sheol in one live and it's gonna be for like 3. No. Family, this is a series. The manna will cease is a whole series, family. And families, this ain't no just a program where you come up and you trying to. No, these are prophecies that you got to add together so you can add this to your life so you can wake up your brothers and sisters. Watch this though. The Most High ain't playing with Yasharala, man. Psalms 139. Psalms 139. We need to read verse 8, and then you got to jump down to 16. Then you got to jump down to 16, my brothers and sisters. Watch this. Then we got to go to our lesson after this, fellas. We have to. Don't do that to me. Okay, let me get out of that. Let me go back to it. There we go, family. Okay, we got to read verse 8, and then you got to jump down to verse 16. Because we talking about Sheol, right? Let's go, verse 7 and 8. Whether shall I go from thy spirit? With a question mark. And whether shall I flee from thy presence? With a question mark. You going to flee from who presence? You going to flee from the Most High, man, when you ain't understanding these laws, statutes, and commandments. When you ain't understanding that you sinning. And the wages of sin is what? Death. So families, you always sinning all the time is going to lead you into your grave based upon the way that you be thinking all the time because you ain't got no understanding of these Hebraic scriptures. These Hebraic scriptures because you're not trying to have a Hebraic understanding. Verse 8. If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. Who gonna be there? That's if you ascend up. The only way for you to ascend up is for you to be set apart. The only way for you to ascend up is for you to be righteous. The only way for you to ascend up is for you to be holy. But what if you're not them 3 things? If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Because the Yeshua as well went to the center of the earth. He went to the middle part of the center of the earth, families, to preach to those that was captives down there. So he will come there. But the difference is, if you read Luke chapter 16, 15 through 31, it tells you about Lazarus and the rich man. Verse 16. Verse 15 and 16. My substance was not hid from thee. Of course, your substance ain't going to be hid from him. You might can hide it from your brothers and sisters out here because we don't know no better. We trust you based upon what you speak. But do you really walk the way you talk? When I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth, Then eyes did see my substance. Whose eyes? The Most High's eyes. Yet being unperfect, because you ain't trying to be perfect. We ain't trying to be holy. We ain't trying to have structure. We ain't trying to have order. We ain't trying to know true rulership, because we think the laws are done away with. In order for you to even have them three things, you have to have some type of foundation. Let's go again. Thine eyes did my substance, yet being did eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in that book, all my members were written. In whose book? The exact same book that you read in Revelation, families, when he's talking about the book of these prophecies right here in your holy scriptures that you be having in your lap. And you ain't abiding by them. You read over certain scriptures and ain't get no Hebraic understanding about what you read. And then you want to go out here and try to teach to your brothers and sisters. Only men are given a spiritual meat, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. Time for us to go to our lesson, families. I got some more for us, families, just for anybody, man, who just want to come to the live and just want to know where we at the moment. At my class, families, we went over precepts, Hosea chapter 13 and 14. You need to check that and mark that in your book. You as well need to read 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 55. As well, you need to mark down Isaiah 14, 9 and 17. This is dealing with Sheol. You as well need to read Psalms 30 and 3 and 49, 9 through 20. You need the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 10. Your next precept will be the book of Psalms 9 and 17. These are dealing with Sheol, families. As well, you need Deuteronomy chapter 18 and 10. As well, you need Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 4, because, families, you will go to Sheol. The Most High will kill you, families, if you do not obey the Torah, the law.
Turn back to the only solution when just the beginning of the things foretold. Yes, new grain, new wine, new oil. Translation, we getting spoiled. Most High gonna wipe these tears. He said, I will repay you for all of these years. Fear not, rejoice, be glad. Offer up your hearts rather than your threats. Turn back to the only solution when the horn blow. That's the end of our persecution. Hallelujah. No more curses, only blessings. I'm declaring on my seed. So many blessings. He's kept it so for me. No more curses, only blessings. I'm declaring on my seed. So many blessings. God declare for me. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Save the world and wake up the lion. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Set the people free. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Save the world and wake up the lion. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Set the people free. Blow it loud, the cherries up the clouds to a people even blacker than mine. And be cracking the ground. It's groundbreaking, no one sticking this sound. A protein like a steak in the sound. So we taking this now, bruh. And all praises to Yahuwah. Blow the drum loud. Beeps getting wild. And y'all goes with a shout. So we shaking the walls of Jericho. Overlooking the falls. No more curses, only blessings. I'm declaring on my seed. So many blessings, y'all prepare for me. No more curses, only blessings. I'm declaring on my seed. So many blessings, y'all declare for me. Blow the trumpet, Zion, Zion. Save the world and wake up the lion. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Set the people free. We just gonna speak a little bit. Walk with me. Talk with me. Man, they said we won't make it. Need to just forget about legacy. When Michelle, Kelly, Beyonce, when we're on the same note, the end goal is destiny. Politely summon you devils like child, please. Standing flat-footed with no arch, just to let the whole world know my pops can save y'all all. But y'all's got much confidence in his children, but they get tired of them bragging like LeVar Ball. Just call us the flu with the center of influence. Get it? The word flu's in the center of influence. Folks try hard to vaccine the awakening. Y'all's alarm clock has no snooze to it. So fall back just like trust exercises. Following prophecy keeps us from surprises. Sorry, Mr. Filthy Rich, y'all was here before the meal. Foodies call that good appetizers. Cloud of mercy, okay, for heaven's sakes. The only one to answer the alarm clock in his wake. But y'all is great. When the Ruach is, there is liberty. I remember vividly what this truth did to me. Changed tremendously. We follow Christ on Twitter, so what he tweets, we retweet elite. We rockin' Robin with the Louis New Slugger, aka Batman, Vince leader of the Justice League. Rap is a gift, but his presence is what you need. I love to sit and talk with my elderly. They testify about times they needed them desperately. How they pressed through the crowd to touch the hems of his bell bottoms. Doc been healing since the 70s, so I can't be quick to reject knowledge. He'll tumble me and the two children I fathered. If you don't believe in the capital one, you can't forget the saving part. Who cares what's in your wallet? We are peons, peed off, pissed against the wind, now we're peed on. Understand the trouble you're in when your sins have never been atoned for, and your heart replaced with a new one. Smart as Jimmy Neutron, but when it comes to spiritual things, you're Goldilocks one. Everything that's lukewarm and lukewarm that we all need saving like coupons. World's folding up like poker hands and futon. Cloud of mercy, okay, for heaven's sakes. The only one to answer the alarm clock in his wake. But y'all is great. You know how we do. When the Ruach is, there is liberty. I remember vividly what this truth did to me. Changed tremendously. You know how. Ingredients for healing, which was yours by design. Spit there, who knew that would open blind eyes? Cause all of this time, a recipe for vision. But when I was 5, we used to call it mud pie. Now need an expectation, forms his prayer lines. Anointed so strong, he felt like Popeye. Wait, never chicken, not putting no pot pie. He's a for sure groomer with the runaway bride. Rolex, billboard, these are the signs of the times. People mind on their money and they money on their mind. They start to lose their money, they start to lose their mind. Now the guns in the closet, they start to kill time. Keep going. Christ got a case for putting hands on time. Cause he only undefeated was father time. But my father was father to father time. Grandfather, that clock stretched arms to 3 and 9. Who walking on Alzheimer's? Like, do you remember the time when Hezekiah was dying? His life was on the decline. He never procrastinated, but prayed in the nick of time. Had a plug service serving a new nick in a dime. That's 15 to your life when you're pushing your shoe is mine. The only deal that grandmama would stand behind. So in due time, it's quick delivery. I'm optimistic, optimist like Amazon in my prime, and that's my time.
Hey, let's get into it, families. Let's get into it. I'm finna turn it up a little bit, families, because I don't want y'all to miss nothing. I don't want y'all to miss nothing. I'm as well finna add on some more precepts, families, that y'all need. You as well need the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, and the verse on that will be 19. You will as well need Isaiah chapter 25 and 8. You will need Psalms chapter 88, 3 through 5. You as well would need Psalms chapter 115, verse 17. You as well need Psalms 143 and 3. All this is dealing with Sheol. You would need the book of Job, chapter 10, verse 21 through 22, as well as the book of Job, chapter 17 and 13. You would need Ecclesiastes, chapter 9. You will read that from 2 all the way down to 10. You need the book of Ezekiel, chapter 31, 14 and 18. You as well would need a book of Psalms, chapter 89 and 48. And last but not least, families, you need a book of Hebrews, chapter 10 4 through 10. Time for our lesson. All praise. Now, families, I'm going to tell you this right now. Only Yasharala is speaking like this. Families, we had from Honor and Humility, STL, my brother Yaki. He did 2 lives yesterday and today. This live right here was today, families. They are shutting down people live streams, families, to where they can't go live. That one they main channel, they couldn't do it, so they did it on a second channel. And this is Hebrew Nation building, but they couldn't do it on a main channel. For some reason, YouTube gave them a strike or something like that, and they can't go live. So they had to go to this channel. But they still is speaking like every Israelite at this moment. Families, there's no, if you're not Israel, you're not talking like this. Yaki did 2 lives, 2 days in a row. And he's been talking about ordership, preparation, preparing yourself, and judgment. And it's just so happened that Brother Josh is talking about the exact same thing. And on both of these 2 individuals, they've been talking about Sheol. We as well had spiritual combat. Man, only Israel talking like this right now, man. Why? Because Yehuda must rise. The lawmakers will have to rise first before the rest of Israel can even understand what ordership is. Everybody else is finna lead. Families, you want me to tell you who put you in bondage? They sit there and say that those that tell you to keep the law, statutes, and commandments put you in bondage. No, families. It's really the other way around. It's the ones that's telling you not to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, families. Them are the ones that are putting and keeping you in bondage. And they're keeping you in bondage of a covenant with death. With death. It's a covenant that our forefathers made, families. And we bear that covenant. We bear it, families, because they did what? They did not hearken unto the voice of our Father. And they didn't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. So they made a covenant with death. The grave, man. This is only a Hebraic understanding. No Christians are talking like this. Those that just got in the faith, they so stuck on the milk, families. They ain't even. That's why you can't deal with Christians at this moment, families. Cause they done made that oath with that, but they say that they in that truth. Well, let prophecy speak for itself, and let the scriptures speak for itself. And those that speak the way they speak, let's see if you really walk the way you walk.
There's gonna be a bleed over into Shabbat, because it will be late, trying to get through all this, try to understand this. But what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to understand where we at. The further you get into the text, I'm so not used to holding the mic. Get used to this. The further you get into the text, the more you're gonna understand that everything has a literal and spiritual application. Everything is have a literal and spiritual.
Hey, beautiful Queen Jacqueline. Hey, sis, that live that way people can wake up, man. Let me take y'all to him right quick, y'all. This was the live from yesterday, families. Prophecy and preparation. And families, he actually gave you a definition of, of the true Hebrew definition of what prophecy even means. I don't want to pray in real quick, y'all. Let me pray in real fast. But if people don't look these words up, if you just read over these words like I've been doing, man, I had to slow down, families. When you go to your classes, families, it's all based upon who you can talk about. Trust me now. You can't be in one session and then you go to another session when you know a person is speaking garbage. And they speaking from the exact same Bible. They speaking from the scriptures. Families, man, they're going to really be gashing of teeth. For real, man. For real. Man, these scriptures was cutting the heck out of me, man. I really had to humble myself down. When I mean about down, families, I love. If you really think that the Most High was going to destroy everything and not get glorified off of it, you need to think again. If he was going to, if he was going to just destroy everything or a certain type of race, families, he wouldn't even created it. People need to wake up, man. It's all about judgments, families. That's what it's about. The Most High it pleased him for judgment. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, families. A man out, when he talk about spiritually judged, he's talking about yourself. To be able to spiritually discern what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil, what is up and what is down. Balances, families. It's to check you. Man, families, I'm trying to tell you, these judgments is nothing to play with. When you hear judgment, you need to quit thinking in the mindset about judging. Trust me, Yasharala. It's deeper than what you thinking. At the end of the time, man, at the families doing a great tribulation, the last thing you're gonna be worrying about is what your brother is doing wrong. No, you're gonna be worrying about survival. Man, y'all need to wake up, man. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna continue going to my classes. I'm gonna continue studying. I'm gonna continue practicing and preparing myself to go into the wilderness. You get what I'm saying? Because right now, in my heart and in my mind, I fear the Most High judgments. And I am looking all up in the scripture where he's sitting there saying, it shall come. It shall come to pass as it is written. Like Brother Yaki was saying. He sat there and went through every single scripture. This was a lie from yesterday on prophecy where it sat there and says, it is written and it shall come to pass. And we is not hearkening to the voice of the Most High, and we call ourselves soldiers from Christ. We call ourselves Yasharala. We say that we are Israelites. Families, you got to stay far away from people that are Muslims or Christians or whatever the heck they got going on that making your mind go left field when you supposed to be on the right hand side, man. We got to wake up. Let's go to our lesson, man. In a Hebraic understanding. Man, you better get out of these Western mind people, man. Don't not go in the mindset of a Christian in this hour, families. A Christian is going to lead you to your death. Because families, they don't know no better. Because they don't want to listen. But they swear they know the scriptures. No, you don't have a Hebraic understanding of the scriptures. That's your problem. Because you don't want to learn. Because you think that you know it all. And you leading us to the grave with you. Man, devil is a lie. Hasatan is a lie, man. I'm not finna go in the grave with you based upon your ignorance and your foolishness. And you say you got wisdom? Nah, families. You better be looking for God wisdom.
Get into the text. I'm so not used to holding the mic. I'm getting used to this. The further you get into the text, the more you're going to understand that everything has a literal and spiritual application.
Check yourself.
Everything has a literal and
before
spiritual
yourself,
application. Man. So when you're talking about the grave, you got to get Christianity out your head. You got to get out your head. So there is a literal place in the lower parts of the earth where people are tortured and other people are secured. There's a literal place. And also where we're at right now and the things that we're doing is also the physical the spiritual representation in the natural. There's a grave, there's an Abraham's bosom, and there's a great chasm. And we in it right now. We live in and we breathing it. I'm going to jump into this real fast. Matthew 27:50 verse through 53. And Yahushua, when they cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the Ruach. And he, behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top of the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the set apart ones which slept arose. And they came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the set apart city, and appeared unto many. So everybody done heard it, done seen movies about Passion of Christ, all these other movies, Jesus of Nazareth, for you old school, all them old movies. And so he dies on the cross, he goes down, he dies on the third day, he resurrects, and all of a sudden the dead rise. So what you got to understand is all this is prophetic. the graves, the dead bodies, and the resurrection are all prophetic terms. If you understand those terms, you can understand where we at right now. If you can't understand those terms, you're going to miss what's really happening right now. And you're not going to understand other prophecies in the scripture. Because there's multiple prophecies in the scripture that is talking about the resurrection. But it's not talking about coming out of the literal earth. Everybody follow me? All right, let's look at this. All right? So what you got to understand is that when people say, when you see in the text, hell don't always mean the lake of fire. Matter of fact, if you read in Revelation, it says that hell will be cast where? Into the lake of fire. So it's showing you that hell is not the lake of fire. Hell is a blanket term some places in the script, but they translate it as hell as meaning Sheol or the grave. So when you see Sheol, it means the grave. But the grave is not all torment. There's certain places in the grave that you can be secure. There's certain places in the grave where you have peace, where you have shalom. And so basically we talking about that word hell a lot of times is really Sheol, or it means the grave. So you have hell. These are the three elements of hell. You have the abyss, which is the great chasm that Yahushua talks about when he gives the parable about the rich man and the beggar. And then you have Abraham's bosom. The abyss separates the two. That people from Abraham's bosom can't get to hell. People from hell can get to Abraham's bosom. Right? It's a great gulf fixed. Right? It's a separation. It's a fixed barrier. Right? It's a fixed order, as Joseph likes to say a lot. So we see this is the order of Sheol. This is the order of the grave. But the first thing you got to understand about us is that people are thinking that you're dying in the future. We don't realize that our nation has already been dead. So when you read Ezekiel has sees mass graves. And I ain't going to go through all these scriptures, because if I do, we'll never get anywhere in this lesson. But Ezekiel had a vision of a mass grave, right? Everybody calls it, and they talk about what? The valley of dry bones, right? So if you see a mass grave of dry bones, you're going to understand a couple things. One, they've been there for a long time, right? Because bones don't come immediately dry. You eat some chicken, throw it out, the bones ain't dry till a couple weeks, right? On the ground, eventually they're going to deteriorate. So that means that the bones have been left out. And also the thing about the bones that you got to understand is that in order for it to be a mass grave, that means that those bodies wasn't buried. And when you understand Israel, you got to understand that every Israelite, every honorable Israelite, their bodies were never left out. Israel didn't have mass graves, because that's an abomination, right? What they would do is, if you die, you came to a certain age, you'll be buried in the sepulcher with your fathers. A sepulcher can be a tomb, or it can be a cave. So they'll put you in the cave, or they'll put you in the tomb. Right. So y'all can't hear Malo somebody that found a mass grave for Black Wall Street. And in America, that's all they did was have mass graves. Black Wall Street, the Double Punch Bowl, Wilmington, North Carolina. They always buried us without honor. We would have to go and bury our own. They would hang us and leave us hanging on trees, that kind of thing. We already had these dishonorable deaths. So when you go back to the text, there's a prophecy in Isaiah. I'm gonna pull it up real fast because I don't have it in this teaching. Well, I got it in teaching, but I ain't trying to go backwards. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast. So let's look at that. Jeremiah 8. I'll read that real fast. So everybody knows Ezekiel's dry bones vision. So to get the whole context, you got to go to a second witness. Everybody say second witness. So let's look at the second witness and see what he sees. Jeremiah 8 verse 1. At that time saith Yahuwah, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of who? Yehudah. And the bones of his what? And the bones of his what? And the bones of his what? So now you see these dry bones, or these bones have been left out, these bones have been buried, are three different categories. The bones of the priests, the princes, and the prophets. Priests, princes, prophets. So those are the bones that's left. Those are the bones that have been left out, right? So let's keep reading. And the bones of the prophets and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So not only you got the king, the priests, and the prophets, and the rest of Jerusalem. That order. out of their graves. They shall be spread before the sun and before the moon and before all the hosts of heaven whom they love. So these bones are going to be scattered in the face or under the people that they want to be like. See, Israel had this problem where they continuously want to be like the Gentiles, right? They want to worship the gods of the Gentiles. I was talking to my wife about this earlier. The reason why the Most High said, he said, is Israel a homeborn slave? He says, what nation changes their Elohims? What people you know on the earth have a Elohim that don't fit them? Well, you don't go to India and they have a Caesarea Borgia up there, right? You don't go to China and they have Caesarea Borgia, quote unquote Jesus. They have their own God, right? So you don't see, it's not normal to see one ethnicity worship another ethnicity's God, right? So when you're seeing this, you ask questions, say, well, like, what is this? That, like, how strange is this that one people worship another people's God? But that's what happened. So the sun, the moon, and all the hosts of heaven whom they love us. The Most High said, I'm going to give you to them. You're going to be dead bones. You're going to be dry bones in the face of them. You're going to be trodden underfoot by them. That's what that means. If you lay it out in the streets, that means somebody's walking over you. And whom they have served, and whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They ain't going to be gathered. Right? So, hold on a second. I got to do one more thing. Yeah, so they're not going to be gathered, which means that we know the context. That means you're going to be, we know we're not lost, but it means you'll be scattered. If I say scattered, you're going to be scattered because nobody's going to care about you. Nobody's going to look for you. Nobody's going to care to put you in your proper place. You heard that before, Deuteronomy 28? No man shall do what? Redeem you. Nobody's going to bring you back to your proper place. That's the law of redemption. When you go pay the price for your ancestor, your kinsman, and then bring them back to their homeland. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to put you in a place of your burial. Matter of fact, you look in the context, you will see even when the Israelites were in one place and they moved to another place, they would take the bones of their ancestors with them. Yourself, right? They would take the bones of their ancestors with them to their homeland and bury them in their sepulchers. So the context is not only are you going to be dead, right? You're going to be just laying in the streets. Ain't nobody going to help you. Not only will you not be gathered, but you're not only going to be gathered and you're not even going to be brought back to your homeland. Nobody's going to care. They walk, whom they sought, who they worship, who they gather, nor be buried. They shall be dung on the face of the earth. You're going to be doo-doo in the face of these people. In other words, they're going to have laws for dogs going to have more rights than you are in their lands. Exactly. That's going to be your portion in these lands. You're going to be dead bones. And the death shall be chosen rather than life by the residue of them. Hold up now. Read it one more time. And death shall be chosen rather than life by all the residue of them that remain of this evil family. So, okay, what is he talking about? Moshe said, this day I present before you what? Blessings and curses, what? Death and life. So this people, right now, we living this out right now. Amongst our people, you go to your family, you tell them about the Torah, they rather choose death. The residue of this people, of this family, this particular family, that's what they want. They're dead in the streets. They know they're powerless, right? They know they can't do anything against their oppressors. They know they don't have any say in this country, but they'd rather remain dead. And death shall be chosen rather than life. That's where we at right now. One of a family, two of a city. Ain't that what the prophet say? Most of y'all got one person or maybe two people in your family that's awakened. And then when you go talk to your family, they'd rather choose death. They'd rather continue. You tell them about leaving this country, they don't want to leave this country. They'll rather die in this country. But all the residue of them that remain in this evil family, which remain in all their places where I've driven them. So now he's telling you what the graves are. The graves are the places that you've driven them. Those are mass graves of dishonor. Moreover, they're saying to them, thus says Yahuwah, shall they fall and not rise? Shall he turn away and not return? Why then this people of Jerusalem slidden back by perpetual backsliding? They hold fast the seed and they refuse to return. I hearken and heard, but they spake not. They spake not aright. No man repented of his wickedness, saying, "What have I done?" Everyone turned to his own course, and the horse rushes to the battle. Yet the stork of heaven knoweth the appointed times. So he's saying even the animals know the appointed times, but you won't keep them. You rather have Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving. This is what Most High is telling you, that the animals keep the appointed times. Yes, D. Maybe that's the reason why they got rights and we don't. Because according to the Torah, they said the Torah is our wisdom and our understanding in the face of the nations. Yea, the stork of heaven knoweth the appointed times, the turtle and the crane, the swallow observe the time of their commanding, but my people know not the judgment. They choose death. How do they say we are wise in the law who is with us? Lo, certainly in vain he have made it. The law done away with. You see, look, man, you can't make this stuff up. When you read this thing is yelling at you. If you can perceive this, if you can hear this, it's yelling at you, telling you exactly where you're at right now. How do they say we are wise and the law of who is with us? Lo, certainly in vain he made it. The pen of scribes is in vain. The wise men are ashamed, they are dismayed and taken. Lo, they rejected the word of Yahuwah. What wisdom is in them? Therefore I will give their wives to others. That's twofold. It happened in slavery and it's happening now. They kidnapping our women left and right because we don't care about them. And their fields they shall to them that shall inherit them. For everyone, the least even to the greatest, is given the covenants. Covenants is big business amongst us. Big time business. If you people don't realize that covenants, if you want to take our hood culture, if one word describe it, it's covenants. That's it. I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm faster. What 50 Cent say was, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. Covenants. Right. Pride, because pride go back to covenants. You got to be a prideful man to want something that somebody else has. What kind of man is that? Covenants. And it's big money, it's big business. Big business. They pay you big time money to be covetous. That's right.
Their reputation, their credibility.
That's right. From the prophet to the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. Everybody lying. These pastors lying too. So, all right, we can go on and on. You get the context. So I had to give you the second witness to Ezekiel to let you see that these are our graves. So the context you got to understand is that once we understanding these things, we are becoming alive, but we're still in the grave because the righteous and the wicked are both in the grave. It's appointed for once the man to what? Die, and then the judgment. We're all in the grave. So let's start looking at this, because we be all day. But this is the thing about the Most High. He said this through the patriarch Dawid. He says, for you will not leave my soul in Sheol, or let the Holy One see. I read this all the time about Dawid. He said, what does it mean? My soul went left in hell, neither did my flesh see corruption. What is Dawid talking about? Because Dawid understood this. Dawid understood that he understood that in his suffering, that was Sheol. He was alive. He was dead, yet alive. You understand what I'm saying? He was amongst the walking dead. So when he said this is a prophecy about Yahushua. 3 days in the grave. When you go to Acts 2nd chapter, Kepha gets up. He says, everybody, after the rock come down, they all speaking in other tongues. Everybody like, what's going on? He gets up. He says, brother, let me freely speak to you of the patriarch Dawid. And he goes on to talk. He quotes this scripture. He says, I want to read. I'm paraphrasing. He says, because Yahuwah said to Dawid, he says, Yahuwah said unto my master, said to my right hand, tell me the enemies are footstool. Then he goes and says, for his soul was not left in hell, neither did his what? Flesh see corruption. So in the grave, which we are right now, in our scattering in these lands, the context is if you have life in you, you are preserved, which means your flesh, you don't reap corruption.
You've been set apart from the sides of the pit. You're no longer amongst the dead bodies. You have life because you're secure in Abraham's bosom, but you haven't came out of Sheol because it's not time for you to come up because the Messiah haven't appeared. Messiah will be in the grave for how long? 3 days. The 2 witnesses are dead for how long? 3 days. So when Yahushua descended, because going back to the text, we said this last time, this is why the Bible say, he says, who has ascended to the heavens? And who has descended? He says, what is his name? Yahuwah. And what is his son name? Yahusha, HaMashiach. So this thing was prophesied from the beginning that he would do this because the Most High knew we was a hard-headed, stick-necked people and that we would die. Because we had to die because of our wickedness. Because the Torah says a hard-headed son or a son that what? Curses his father and his mother must be put to death. So our ancestors had to be what? Put to death, which means we were born in the grave. Think about that. So that's the reason why you was born into corruption. But now that corrupted must put on incorruption, and that mortal must put on in the grave. Why? Because Yahushua descended into the lower parts of the earth. Who has ascended and who has descended? What is his name and what is his son's name? So his son descended in the lower parts of the earth and he preached to the Ruachs that are in captivity. So now you've turned from death to life. You've returned back to the Torah. So you're in Abraham's bosom. So what is a bosom? A bosom is a place of rest. And it's a place of security and a place of comfort. So that's the reason why they say, a child, like a child being in his mother's what? Bosom. That don't mean that a child is rich. It means a child is safe and secure in that shalom. So even in the midst of the captivity, he's what? A little sanctuary. You're in Abraham's bosom. You're cut off from the walking dead because there's a great gulf. That's the reason why you can't. This is the reason why I stopped trying to evangelize the Christians. Oh, somebody probably heard like, I can't believe Moray said that. I stopped doing that. You can't evangelize no Christian. You me all day because they made a covenant with death. They made a covenant with the grave. Look, the scripture says our ancestors, that's how we got here in the first place. It said that our ancestors made a covenant with Hasatan, also with death. They in covenant with it. So no matter what you say, they're just going to reject it. The Most High has to draw them to the Savior before you can say anything to them. Now, somebody, if they're a Christian and they come to me and they say, I want to know about this, yeah, man, let's talk about it. If a church came and said, man, we want to leave, we want to transcend and go into the Torah, I'll be there and say, I'm coming. What y'all need me to do? What you need me to help you with? I got no problem with that. But trying to convert you, I can't convert you. To whom is the arm of Yah revealed? Right? He's ain't revealed to everybody. And if he haven't been revealed to them, ain't nothing you can say to convince them. Nothing. You can go through all the history. You're going to be so mad and so angry after you done talk to that person that you're going to end up saying you're going to strike the rock. And you're going to say something about that person. Because they're going to frustrate the heck out you. They're going to bring you into bondage. They're going to bring you into bondage. So you can't do that. So they have to be, the Most High has to be revealed to them first. Because, again, going back to the grave, what did Mashiach tell you? He said, if one came from the grave, if they went from Abraham's bosom to Sheol, remember he said what? He saw Abraham afar off and asked what? To get the water to what? Cool his tongue. He wanted somebody to come from that side to minister to them. Yahushua said, even someone came in from the grave, they ain't gonna believe it. They got the witnesses. They got the 2 witnesses, Moshe and the prophets. If they ain't gonna believe them, how they gonna believe you? So if they're not gonna believe Moshe and the prophets, they ain't gonna believe you. Exactly. They didn't believe him, right? They said they believe Abraham. Well, he was of his father Abraham. They said they believe Moshe, and Moshe spoke of him. but they couldn't receive it. Ain't no different than Christianity. The same thing. They can't receive Mashiach, or they can't receive Moshe because they think they know Mashiach, but they really know Caesarea Borgia. But you got to thank the Most High, because what? He didn't leave you abandoned in the grave. Neither did he do it. Let your flesh see corruption. Because now that mortal has put on immortality. This is a better way. This is another way to break it down. And you get this. He says what? You will not leave my soul among the dead. This is the best way if you want to get this. This is another way it's worded. Or allowed your Holy One to rot in the grave. You can't be in the grave forever. So first of all, you're going to be secured to Abraham's bosom. And you're only there for a certain length of time. Because eventually everything in Sheol is going to hell. It's going into the lake of fire. Now let's get this. 1 Thessalonians. I'm sorry, verse 14. For we believe, 1 Thessalonians 4, I'm sorry, 14. For we believe that Yahushua died and rose again. That's what we're talking about, right? Concerning them that are what? Asleep. Asleep. It said that Isaiah said that Israel is asleep in a deep sleep. Right? That ye sorrow not, even as others have no hope, which have no hope. For we believe that Yahushua died and rose again. Even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Elohim do what? Bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of Yahuwah, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Master, Yahushua. That's what it means. They said Lord, you got Yahuwah, then you got two different terms depending on what the context of the word Lord. Shall not prevent them that are asleep. That word is a terrible translation. The word is thano. It means precede. I say precede. So it says those that are alive will not precede those which are asleep. So he's saying those that are alive at that time. Right? 16. For Yahuwah himself would descend with what? And the voice of what? And the trump of Elohim. And the what? The dead in Mashiach will rise first. Let's see if I can pull this up real fast. If not, I'm just going to talk about it. You got to understand what that means. Zechariah 12. Verse 5. Zechariah 12 and 5. He says that those that are alive, right, they're not going to precede those that are dead in Hamashiach, right? But we all dead right now, right? Some of us in Hamashiach, some of us not. Zechariah 12 verse 5. And it says, and the dead in Hamashiach will do what? Rise when? First. Zechariah 12 verse 5. And the governors of Yehuda shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem should be my strength, and Yahuwah of Sabo, the Elohim. In that day I will make the governors of Yehuda like a hearth, a fire among the wood, and a torch as like fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all people round about. They all getting done. On the right hand and on the left. Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. And Yahuwah shall save the tents of Yehuda when? The dead in Mashiach will rise first. Yehuda. For it's evident that our master sprang from where? Yehuda. Salvation is of who? The dead in Yehuda will rise first. 7 again. He shall also save the tents of Yehuda first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Yehuda. So those that are alive won't do what? Supersede those that's dead in Hamashiach. They won't glory against those, because the house of Judah or the house of Yehuda is set apart in the grave. If I say set apart, in the grave. The dead in Yehuda, the dead in Hamashiach will rise first. The tents of Yehuda will be saved first. Yeah, 15. 1 Corinthians 15:51, we'll go to 53. Behold, I show you a mystery. We should not all sleep. Everybody ain't gonna be asleep, but we shall all be changed. In the moment of the twinkling of the eye, the last trump, for the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we all should be changed. For this corruptible must put on, and the mortal must put on. For when this corruptible has put on incorruption, this mortal shall have put on immortality. Then we shall have brought to pass the saying, death is swallowed in victory. O death, where's thy sting? O grave, where's thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But be thanks to Elohim who give us the victory through Hamashiach, Yahusha. Therefore, my brother, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of Yahuwah, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain. So when we're looking at this, the context of the grave, the context of the resurrection, which is Yahusha. Yahusha is the king. He's the root of Jesse. He's the seed of what? David. He's the prince of Yehuda. He's also the king of Israel. So when you look at this is the reason why when he descends, he gives life to those. But it's Yehuda who comes first. It's Yehuda that's secured first. When Yehuda is secured, the rest of the nation is. The rest of the dead won't precede Yehuda. Yehuda has to go first because salvation is of him. Let's go to Isaiah 13. It's an order to this, y'all. When I say order, it's an order, man. But it's all about the grave. It's all about Hamashiach. It's all about the resurrection. He is what? The resurrection and the life. Isaiah 13. What we're going to find out is that Isaiah 13 and Matthew 24 is the same scripture. When you understand this, you're going to understand how Judah going to be saved first. You understand how we'll be gathered. You understand what's happening with the Gentiles. You're going to understand like the breakdown of Matthew 24 and why people get it all confused and why theologians can't understand it. Let's look at this. Isaiah 13. The burden of who? Say it again because y'all got to get that. The burden of who? Babylon. So it's not the burden of anybody else with Babylon. Right? Which Yeshayahu, the son of Amos, did see. Lift up a what? Banner. Everybody say it again. Everybody lift up a what? Banner. Upon the high mountain, exalt the voice of them, shake their hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I've commanded my sanctified ones. I've also called my mighty ones of my anger. Even then they rejoice in my highness. The noise of multitude in the mountains, like of a great people, the tumult of many kingdoms and nations gathered together. Yahuwah Sabaoth musters the host to battle. Mustered the host to battle. Y'all remember that? They come from where? Coming from a far country. Even from the end of heaven, even Yahuwah and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of Yahuwah is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint. Every man's heart gonna melt. 8. They shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman in travail. They shall be amazed at one another. The face is going to be like flames. Behold, the day of Yahuwah cometh cruel with both wrath and fierce anger. The later land desolate. It sounds like Jeremiah, don't it? He shall even destroy the sinners out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light. The sun should be darker than it's going forth, and the moon should not cause her light to shine. Before we go any further, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Pause. Now, families. Now, right here, families, man, is where it's really finna to get so spiritual, families, to where now I see why it sits there and says 2/3 of Yasharala will perish, man. 2/3. That's a lot of people. Families, when it sits there and says that paradise, paradise is also going into your graves, families. And families, when you do pass on to great to go to the next life, you will be in a division. You will be ranked. You will be in a ordership, families. For real, based upon what you learned, what you understood, and what you applied into your life from the time that you got into the truth and into the time that you endured to your end. A lot of brothers and sisters, families, are going to take you away from the truth because families, they don't even understand it, but they want to be themselves teachers. Families, beware of those with itching ears. You can go to certain places, families, and families, you can just listen. You can tell, families, that they are getting taught by a different ruach. It is not with the true fire. Families, you will have to be baptized by water. And families, if you truly going to get baptized by Yeshua HaMashiach, his baptism is by fire. By fire. The true purification, families. And families, only those that converted themselves over to the truth will understand these mysteries, man. This ain't meant for everybody. I don't know how many people will have to tell you that until it clicks in your head and that light come into your head to where you realize that, you know what, I believe that these scriptures are truly talking to me and you need to take heed, which is talking to everybody. But some people is not going to accept it. Some people is not going to embrace it, families. Some people are stuck with the laws being hung up on a cross. And the exact same laws that you believe has been hung up on the cross, you really hanging yourself. You hanging yourself to your own vain deceits, man. Just listen, families. Listen. Listen to most people, man. Listen. And families, if you in that room and you hear them, if you hear certain doctrines, philosophies from other men, and families, they reading from the exact same scriptures that you read, but families, they don't do precepts. Families, they don't have a Hebraic understanding about what's going on. Families, they are lost. But families, you can't tell them nothing because they don't want to be taught. They don't have time to listen. Families, they want to get frustrated. They're going to say, start pouting like a little baby. Man, only the mysteries are given to men. Only the mysteries are given to men.
That's right, Ak. That's right. That's right. Because they ain't gonna be and through Yahusha, because eventually there ain't gonna be no need for the sun or the moon. But the Most High gave me a dream this week, and that's how he gave me, bringing me into this. What time we got? Okay. So I had two dreams. And the second dream was just real simple. I was with me and Mo was handling some business out of town, and that night I had a dream, and I looked up and I told some other people about it. We all standing outside, and it was pitch black, and there was this judgment that coming. We was all talking about it. We knew it was coming, and we looked up and we saw the moon. So the moon was, anytime you have a moon, people talking about the calendar and stuff. So you got different phases of the moon. You got the new moon, you got the crescent moon, you got the first sliver, you got all this kind of stuff. So when the moon is a crescent moon, the moon is black. You don't see anything on the moon. You just know an outline. You can see that it's there. Then you see the little crescent, or you see whatever part of the moon. This wasn't that moon. This moon was completely visible. Like you could see every crevice of it, everything that's about it. Everything of the moon was seen, every crater, everything, but it had no light. No light. It was like somebody flipped the switch and it was off. But you can completely see everything about it. It wasn't like you see dark moons or crescent moons. You can't see the moon. It's fully visible with no light. And then I woke up and I was wondering, like, what was that? And I was praying about that. And what the Most High, that's when the Most High began to reveal this to me about these two scriptures and what it's really saying, and understanding this in time frame. So let's look at that. For the stars of heaven, constellation, not give their light. The sun should be darkened and is going forth, and the moon should do it. Should not cause her light to shine. That's what I saw. And I will punish the world for their evil. So what he's showing me is that he's about to punish the world for their evil. And for the wicked and iniquity, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even the golden wedge of Ophir. Remember we've been talking about that scripture? Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. In the wrath of the Yahuwah Sabaoth, and in the day of his fear and anger. And it shall be as a chase roll and a sheep that no man taketh up, even every man return to his own people and flee everyone to his own land. That's a quote from Jeremiah. Everyone that is found should be thrust through. Everyone that's joined unto them, they're going to fall by the sword. Their children shall be dashed into pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. Behold, I'm going to stir up their Iranians, the Medes, against them. Who shall regard it? Silver? They should not regard silver and gold. Come at it in a minute. They shall have no delight in it. Their bows shall dash the young men into pieces. They have no pity on the fruit of their womb. The eye shall spare not children. And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms of the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be like when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it dwell for generation to generation. Neither shall the raven pitch their tent there. Neither shall shepherds make their foes there. But wild beasts of the desert shall fly there. The house is full of doleful creatures and owls. There shall be satyrs there. That's a demon. Shall dance there. The wild beasts of the island shall cry in the desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. Her time is near to come. Her days shall not be prolonged. Now let's go to Matthew 24. And then we're going to break this thing down. What you just read was Matthew 24. You just read Yahusha explaining how this process is going to work. If you don't understand this, you're not going to understand how this order really is and how it works. But I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Yeah, I guess we got to. So let's look at this. How many verses is that? Now we ain't gonna read the whole chapter. We'll read some of it, then we're going to skip on. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and the disciples came to him and showed him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Surely I say unto you, there shall not be one stone left upon another that won't be thrown down. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, because he don't explain nothing. Privately saying, Tell us, what shall these things be? And what shall the sign that I come, and what shall be the what? The end of what? So I'm going to give y'all the first clue to properly understanding this. They asked him a specific question. He's about to give a specific answer. When they say the end of the world, they didn't mean the end of everything. The world means the order. When they said world, they knew they was talking about Israel. So this is the first key to understanding Matthew 24. When they was asking him, what is going to happen at the end of Israel? How do we know that? He was talking about the temple. He showed them the temple and he said, look, there won't be one stone that won't be left upon another. He was talking about the destruction. He was talking about 70 AD. When did they destroy the temple? 70 AD. So they asked him about 70 AD. What happened at 70 AD? Israel was no more. It was the end of the world. People read this, Christian, they jump and they say, it's going to happen in the time. They read all these different things and Yahushua going to address two different situations, two different time periods, and two different people. He's addressing them at first because they asked him a direct question. You gonna see him repeat things, and you were like, "Why did he just said that earlier? Why is he saying this again?" Just look at this. And Yahushua said to them, "See now all these things? Feel like saying to you, this should not be one stone left on another that won't be thrown down." And they said, "Amount of olives," and they came in privately saying, "Tell us what these things be." Yahushua, can you explain this to us? And what's going to be the sign of your coming? What's the sign? And what's the another end of the world? When is these things going to happen? When is the temple going to be destroyed? That's what they asked. What's the signs of the temple being destroyed? What's going to happen then? And Yahushua answered and said to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. Because many ain't going to come to my name and say, I am Mashiach, and deceive many. I usually hear wars, rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So, hold up. He's talking in reference to 70 AD. Do you know there was wars leading up to 70 AD? It was nation against nation. Do you know that there was revolts in Jerusalem? One was called the Bar Kokhba revolt. That actually ended the whole state. They had multiple revolts in Jerusalem, which led up to 70 AD. That's what he's talking about. He ain't talking about the end of civilization. He's talking about 70 AD. These are the beginning of sorrows. They should deliver you up to be afflicted. Didn't they do disciples that way? Didn't they kill Kepha? Didn't they lock up Sheol? And you should be hated for all nations for my name's sake. That happened too. Many gonna be offended, they shall betray one another, shade one another. That happened then too. Many false prophets rose up. See many. That happened then too. And because iniquity will wax cold, or what shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he didn't do it to the end, the same shall be saved. So how was they saved during that time? Yahushua told them what exactly how to be saved. See what he says. "In this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for witnesses to all nations, and the end shall come." Did that happen back then? Yes. Yes, it was. 70 AD happened after the apostles had died, after the missionary journeys, after the founding of the assemblies. The Basar was preached to all the nations in the known world. Right, no, everybody knew. And the people that was in Jerusalem knew that the destruction was coming because he's explaining to them right now. He told them how to be saved. So if you can endure it to that time period, well, you're going to see it's a dual thing. So those, if you was from that age, if you was a young man, let's say you had to live to be about 100. So let's say you 30, because like 70 AD, 30 years after 33. So you had to live to be about 100. If you can endure all that, or if your seed can endure all that, and you survive the destruction, your seed will tarry. How you doing? You the seed that tarry. Your people were saved. There's another group of people who endured the inquisitions. Their children were saved. There's another group of people that endured slave ships in the Middle Passage. They seed was saved. There's another group that endured lynchings in America. No, my bad, slavery in America. That seed was saved. Another group that endured lynchings. That seed was saved. Another group that survived private prisons. That seed was saved. Another one that endured the whole thing of the crack epidemic. You know, like there were some people who seed and their line was completely cut off in each segment of the persecution. But those that endured, their seed was saved. They endure to this day. You are representatives of 70 AD.
They also sent black men to the forefront. They sent black men to the forefront of the Vietnam War. They drafted them, forced them to go to the war,
Right.
and then they sent them to the front lines. And so the community was decimated through the Vietnam War, and that the crack epidemic came out of the fact that the fathers were gone
You're right.
after the Vietnam War. So the
You're right.
seed that survived that.
You're right. They endured. So let's look at this. Let's get this full understanding. And we shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. Whosoever read it, let him understand. If you know history, that's Antiochus Epiphanes. We just had feast of dedication. Antiochus Epiphanes took a statue of Zeus. He put it in the temple. He slaughtered pigs. He slaughtered all over the temple. Yeah. And then they departed from the temple. All right? That happened there and then. Later on, that we talking about the time of Yahushua. So let's say what happened, that was before Yahushua was born. True. Exact same thing happened by the General Titus and Vespasian when they entered into the temple. It was Jupiter at that time. Put a statue of Jupiter in the temple, desecrated it, and then later on they burned it down, and they took one stone off the other and got the gold that was overlaid. They did exactly what Yahushua said. 70 AD. So you're right. They walked out with all the stuff of it. So all this stuff happened then. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Now he's going to tell you how you're going to do it to the end. Let them who was on the housetop come not down and take anything out of the house. Neither let them return to the field to take back his clothes. Now if you know this, if you know history, when it says let them that flee to be in Judea flee to the mountains, those are the Atlas Mountains. That's where they went. If you look at Foreign Apologetics Destroyed, I got quotes of explorers in the 1700s still finding us up there. Black Jews, they claim them. Black Jews with high pitch, they say they had high pitched voices and they was eating sheep. Yeah, I mean for real. But if you go in Reform Apologetics Destroyed, I got a quote from explorers talking about going up to the Atlas Mountains and still seeing us there. That's what happened. To this day. Let him which on the house stop come not down, take anything out of the house. Neither let him which in the field return back, take his clothes. Woe to them that are with child and suck in those days. Why? Because it was horrible. Pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day. You know, back then some of them wouldn't do anything on the Shabbat. That's how Maccabees happened. For that should be great, such as not since been the beginning of the world, or the beginning of Israel, to this time, neither shall it be. And except that those days be shortened, those days after the destruction. Did y'all catch that? Those days after the temple was destroyed. If those days don't be shortened, no flesh is going to survive. But for the elect days, the days going to be shortened. If any man shall say unto you, lo, the Meshach is over there. Believe it not. Hold up, didn't he just say that at the beginning of this verse? So he's talking about another time. Now, for there should be false. Hold on. We just read that in the first couple verses. Wow, is he repeating himself? So now he's talking about a second time. He told you about a time before the destruction. There's going to be false prophets. There's going to be wars and rumors of wars. All these things happening. Then he says, then there's going to be a great destruction in the end of Israel. Then you're going to flee to the mountains. And there's going to be a greater tribulation. And times will be short because nobody will survive. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect sake, those days are going to be shortened. Then if any man say unto you, lo, it was Mashiach, believe it not, if they're going to rise false Christs, or false Mashiachs, just like he said before the destruction, that's going to happen after the destruction. False prophets, like it was before the destruction, it's going to be after the destruction. They will show you great signs and wonders, so much that if it was possible, they're going to deceive the very elect. But what I told you before, wherefore I just saying to you, behold, in the desert, go not forth. He's in secret chambers, don't believe it. For if lightning come out of the east and the west, even to the west, so shall it be the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, where the eagles be gathered together. Who understands that?
Wherever we are. Father. Yes.
They're the fowls of the air and beasts of the earth. And specifically, these ones, Rome and the Roman Empire, has scattered all over the earth, right? And they all of their people progenerated from the eagle, right? But everywhere we go, it's the same thing. Every nation that participated in the transatlantic slave trade emblem was an eagle. It was an eagle. So wherever the dead bodies are, because remember, it's a mass grave, right? They coming to devour you, beasts of the field, fowls of the air. The eagles going to be gathered together. Because you're going to have to flee to the mountains. And it's going to be a greater tribulation than before the destruction of the world. 29. Immediately after that time, right, of those days, the sun will be darkened, and then the moon should do what? Isaiah 13. So he's telling you, he told the disciples, said, man, Yahushua, what happened? Like, what's going to happen to the temple? He's like, what's going to happen at the end of Israel? Let me tell you. This is going to happen. You're going to have wars and rumors of wars. People going to pop up. There's going to be unrest, civil unrest, all this other stuff. Then they're going to destroy they're going to destroy the temple. It's going to be the abomination of desolation. Y'all know because y'all celebrate feast of dedication. So when you see the white folks, could that happen with the Greeks? I just know people, just being real, that's really what was going on. When you see the white folks around the city, when you see the popo out there, you know it's the end of the world. When you see the popo out there, that's what you're going to do. You're going to jump over that fence over there. You're going to run down this street and you're going to go to the next city. Right? I bet it's like in street terms. Right? That's basically what's going on. So he's telling you, when you see them, you're going to flee to the mountains, and after that, you're going to go down, but it's going to be a worse time that we ain't never seen after that. It's going to be a worse time than that. And he said, if you're going to have to endure all this, if you can escape all that, if you don't get destroyed during that time, after you see these signs, this is going to happen. Isaiah 13 is going to happen. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, sun will be dark and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars going to fall. In other words, all their power structures going to fall apart. And the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the trials of earth going to mourn. Right? They shall see the Son of Man come over the clouds of heaven in power and great glory. And they shall send his angels with the sound of the trumpet. They're going to gather together the seed from the elect of the four winds, from the end one end of heaven to the other. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When a branch is yet tender, in other words, when Israel has come back together and put forth leaves, you know the summer's now. In other words, you know that you about to reap. So likewise, when you see all these things, know that it's near, even at the doors. 34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Which generation is he talking about? Say again? This one. First, he talks about destruction of Jerusalem.
Pause. Them families, man, if you have really been following other sons and daughters of Zion, you've really been following Israel families. Those that has a Hebraic understanding with doctrine, sound doctrine families. Families for the past almost, man, it's been quite some time, families. A lot of brothers and sisters has truly been telling you about judgment, a separation, a division, families, warning. They've been telling you about the harvest. They've been trying to prep you up for the wilderness. Families, they have not been talking about no love whatsoever, families, because we showing how we love each other by helping each other prepare and understanding these scriptures. That's how much we love you. We learning together. Those that's trying to continue, if you still searching for love that shows some type of insecurities within yourself, man, insecurities about, about the with the Most High, you know what I'm saying? Something that's missing, and what's missing is your nationality. That's what's missing, your heritage, your true heritage, your identity. That's what's missing. And certain people don't want to embrace that at this moment, but families, the Most High is trying to tell you that you can't wait for them, man. Yeah, true enough. You're supposed to go out and go find that lost sheep. You is. But families, once you find that lost sheep, they had that warning. We told them. We try to help to prepare families. You can't force nobody if they don't want to accept it. Families, they got to want it like we want it, like how we search for it, how we been trying to embrace it. And families, everything should be clicking. I mean, everything, you should be having a clear understanding, especially those that been rocking over here. Families, we already know where we at. I'm talking to those, man, that just come to the live families, and y'all have just made it to, just this section right here. But you haven't got no understanding about how we got here. How did we get here? The Most High been directing our steps, families. The Most High has been putting orders in our path. And we taking heed to them. That's how we got here. And that's why we are here.
Yeah, that's the end of Israel, the end of the known world to them. Because the Basar had went out, right? Because the word has to go out before the judgment. Word goes out, judgment. After that, they cut off. They scatter to the four winds. They have to survive and survive and survive and survive and survive. But when that sign comes, when the sun is darkened and the moon don't give her light, it's the end of it. And immediately after that, he gonna start gathering the people together. Remember, I told you in the dream I saw the moon without no light. He gonna start gathering the people together. After he gathers the people together from the four winds, everybody say four winds. It's gonna happen because the sign that's gonna appear of the Son of Man, right? So after that, you know that the fig tree is about to bud. The nation is about to be established again. So you have to survive those periods. But the people who are after the tribulation, after the slaughter, will not pass till they see it. But I'm saying to you that this generation, the generation of what? Who will see the sign of the Son of Man, who will be gathered together. This generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now let's look at this. So Matthew breaks down in the three discourses. 1 through 5 is the end of Israel, the end of that world, the destruction of Jerusalem, right? 16 through 29 is the death and the grave. That's Ezekiel 37. That's Jeremiah 8. That's the death and the grave. Right now we're in the grave, right? Because the grave is everywhere outside of Jerusalem. And also the tribulation, because you're going through Sheol. You're going through the grave. 30 through 32 is the resurrection. And it's the regathering or the kingdom. So it's broke down. So it's saying the people that escape the tribulation are going to see it within their lifetime. That generation won't pass. The generation before the destruction, they didn't pass. He told them about how the destruction was coming of that world. And within, 30? Within 50 years, right? It happened. 30, again, 33 AD, 50 going to 70, right? Right that time period. So the people during that time period saw it with their own eyes. So, right? These people were just, all of us from then to now, we just been in the grave. Now the awakening is the resurrection. 3 days.
Oh, wow.
3 days. Yahushua went to where? He went to the lower parts of the earth and preached to the Ruachs that were captive. And on the third day, they rise. The resurrection. Now let's look at this. Let's show you how these two scriptures line up. Isaiah 13 and 8. They shall be afraid, pains and sorrows to take care of them. Because remember, Isaiah 13 don't kick in to verse 30. Right? But let's look at this. It says what? And they shall be afraid. Because Isaiah sees this, right? Pains and sorrows take hold of them. They should be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed at one another. Face shall be as flames. That's the judgment. Matthew 24:21. For then shall be what? Great tribulation, birth pains. And such as will not be since the beginning of this world, for even in time, no, never else, never shall it be. So when they go into the tribulation, it's going to be the same thing as those birth pains. That's the reason why he said these are what? The beginning of sorrow. But it happened twice. There was sorrows before the 70 AD, and there's a greater sorrow that happens after destruction. Isaiah 13, verse 6 through 7. How ye, for the day of Yahuwah is at hand. It's going to come like a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. So now you got to go to Luke. It's the same text. He's saying, giving the same speech, but it's worded differently. Luke 21:26. Men's heart doing what? Failing them for fear and looking for those things that are coming upon the earth. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13:10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun gonna be darkened and it's going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. It's the exact same text. Isaiah 13:13. Therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth and remove her out of her place in the wrath of the day of Yahuwah Sabaoth, and the day of his fierce anger. Matthew 24:34-35. Verily I say unto you, this generation not pass, so all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall do what? They shall be shaken, pass away, but my word shall what? Not pass away. Isaiah 13:2. This we get to the meat of this now. To understand this how this thing gonna take place. Isaiah 13:2. Lift up ye, which means an ensign or a standard. We're gonna break it down in a second. Upon the high mountain, exalt the voice of them that shake the hand. Right? That they may go into what? Return into their inheritance. Matthew 24:30. Then shall appear what? The sign, the ensign or the standard of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with all power and great glory. What you're going to see about these two texts is, when you look at this, I would love to understand like the Greek Septuagint and look at this. I mean, like another, the original article on this. I think this is a slightly different worded version of this because it's saying the same thing. The sign coming. So everything else in Isaiah 32 lines up. When you Google the term, the sign of Son of Man, it's nowhere in the text. When you Google the banner, you're going to see 15, 20 different scriptures, right? Including the scripture that he's quoting at that very time. So he's quoting Isaiah 13. And the more we're going to look at it, you're going to understand what a sign or an ensign or a standard is and why it has to be. Why it has to be something that's being seen at that time during the resurrection. This is the resurrection. He is the resurrection and also what? The life. He preached to the Ruachs that are in captivity. That's in what? Sheol, in the grave. On the third day, they what? Rise. So let's look at this. Two different words for banner and standard, but they mean the same thing. You got banner, which is that word degel. It means banner, standard. It says plural, a military standard or a military flag, right? So, and then you have a standard, which is neck, which is where we get the word niece or nas from. It says something lifted up, a standard, a signal, a pole, an ensign, a banner. So it's all those things. A flag to sail by implication, a flagstaff, a signal, a token, right? Right here it says something lifted up, a token to be seen afar off. So when you're looking at the standard, if you're looking at when it says that the sign of the Son of Man is supposed to be lifted up on high, that's why he said you see it in heaven. But every other text it says the mountain, because a mountain is another what? High place. So when he sees the sign, everybody knows it's the standard. But listen, it's a military weapon. It's a tool. It's a military tool. Because what we're looking at, because after the tribulation is the judgment. So after the tribulation, you're dealing with Israel in military personnel. I say military personnel. After the tribulation, you're looking at Israel being formed into and dealing in military personnel. Exactly. Isaiah 13, 2-3, again, this is why it says this. We're going to look at that whole script in context. Lift up your banner on high, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the notables. I have commanded what? My set apart ones. I've also called what? My mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. So the banner is to pull them to himself. It's something that he lifts up, right? The sign after the tribulation, right? And this is part of the resurrection. The resurrection is the resurrection of the army. That's the reason why I don't want people to know this stuff. Matthew 24, 30 to 31. That's right. That's right. That's right. Matthew 24, 30 to 31. Then shall the sign of the Son of Man appear in heaven, the same thing, the banner. And then the tribes of the earth go mourn, because when they see that, they know that the judgment coming. Remember, he says, you are what? His battle axes and weapons of war. Then you see the sign of the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. The last trump sound, and what? The dead and Mashiach are going to do what? Rise first. Judah is going to be what? Saved first. But we read that context, talk about how great they was going to be and valiant during that time. He shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. They shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven even to the other. Yahuwah Nisi. Yahuwah Nisi. Yahuwah the banner. So when Yahuwah comes with the banner, he's also Yahuwah Sabaoth. The Yahuwah of the armies. The master and commander of the armies. So when he says lift up the ensign, when he lift up the banner, when it says the sun, when you see the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, it's a war signal. It's a declaration of war. So that's the reason why it says all the nations mourn. All right, let's get this, y'all. Yeah, I don't want to say that when you was doing it. I said, I ain't going to spoil it. You my witness to this, sis. Yahuwah Nisi. Yahuwah the banner. When the sign, that's the sign of the Son of Man. When we see it, we're going to be put into military formation. Let's look at this. Because it's the big payback at that point. The big payback. Gotta get some get back. Isaiah 13, 2 through 4. How much time we got? All right. Lift you up what? A banner on the high mountain. So let's look at that. We're going back to Isaiah 13 again, because you got to get this, because that's what Yahushua was quoting. Lift up ye a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand that they may go into the gates of nobles. In other words, bring them back to their homeland. I put up the military sign. Bring them back in rank. That's what he's saying. Yahuwah Nisi, Yahuwah Sabaoth. I've commanded the sanctified ones. I've also called my mighty ones, even for my anger, even in the rejoicing of my highness. The noise of a multitude on the mountains, like of a great people. The tumult of the noise of kingdoms gathered together. Yahuwah Sabaoth. That's the reason why he put up the banner, because he's the captain of the host. Mustered the host to battle. He's calling you into rank, into formation. Because after the tribulation is the big pay back. Yeah. Let's go to Isaiah 18. You dead right now, y'all. You in them graves. But when you come out the graves, you ain't come out the graves and sit around and chill. You gonna come out them graves, you're gonna be formed and ranked in formation into an army. Isaiah 18. This is a short chapter, y'all. Woe to the land. As a matter of fact, if you go to a couple of the chapters, it's gonna talk about the land beyond the river of Ethiopia. We know we the people that was beyond the river of Ethiopia. There's all the countries that we was taken from or brung to. We was enslaved. So Isaiah 18 is wrapping that up. Woe to the land of the shadow wings, which is beyond the river of Ethiopia. Zephaniah 3. That sends ambassadors by the sea. That send people on slave ships. I'll say it again so people heard me at home. That sends people on slave ships. Even vessel bulrushes upon the water, saying, Go ye swift messengers into a nation scattered. To a people peeled and terrible from their beginning, hereunto a nation melted out, trodden down, whose rivers have they spoiled. all the inhabitants of the world and dwells upon the earth, see ye, when he lifted up what? When he lifts up the military banner, you better check it out. Upon what? On the mountains. That's the high place. That's the same thing as being lifted in the heavens, the sign of the Son of Man. And he bloweth the what? Matthew 24, 30 to 31. 31. Now 30. And then shall appear the ensign, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the tribes of earth gonna mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Then he shall send his angels with the sound of the what? And he'll gather his people from the four winds. Isaiah 18, 3. All ye inhabitants of the world dwellers upon the earth, see when he lifted up the ensign upon the mountains, when he bloweth the trumpet, hear ye, because he's gathering the hosts. For so Yahuwah said unto me, I will take my rest. I will consider in my dwelling place, like the clear heat upon the herbs, like a cloud and dew in the heat of harvest. For afore the harvest, when the bud is perfect, and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he shall cut off the sprigs and pruning hooks. He gonna purge the wicked, and he'll take away and cut down the branches. We know what that means. That's Sheol talking about the branches being broken off. They should be left together unto who? The fowls of the mountains and the beasts of the earth. The fowls of the air shall summer on them, and all the beasts of the earth shall winter upon them. Let's go back to it. Sister Chandy was talking about with the times and a half, right? Because each time is a winter. It's a summer and spring, summer, and winter. In other words, a time of seed time and harvest. 3 different times of seed time and harvest. On the third time was just harvest. 6. And they shall be left together, fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the earth, and the fowls shall summer upon them, and the beasts of the earth shall winter upon them. And in that time, a present going to be brought to Yahuwah, of Yahuwah Sabaoth, Yahuwah of the armies. Not just Yahuwah, but Yahuwah of the armies. A people scattered and peeled. People from a terrible from their beginning here to a nation meted out and trodden underfoot. Why? Because their bones are laying in the streets. In whose land the rivers are spoiled, to a place in the name of Yahuwah of hosts, the Mount Zion. The reason why the rivers have spoiled it, that means the waters, the people, the nations have spoiled it. Even the lands that we was taken from, they came and they spoiled those lands. Right? So let's look at this ensign. Let's look at this banner. It's military regalia. Isaiah 5, verse 26. He will lift up an ensign to all the nations from afar, and he gonna hiss to them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed, swiftly. So that word hiss, when I first read this back in the day, I was like, what do you mean by that? That means he gonna call you. When that ensign come up, he like, yeah, no. Y'all coming. Y'all gonna come on, we about to get this thing going. You gotta come in and fall in rank. Isaiah 11 verse 10. And that day there shall be the root of who? Yehuda gonna be saved. Then and Mashiach gonna be raised. There'll be a root in Jesse. It should stand for an ensign for the people. This is why they're gonna be raised first. Because Yehuda's a lion. And as an old lion, who gonna rouse him up? He shall stand for an ensign of people. They gonna look at him and they gonna be like, oh, Judah ready. Let's go get in line. Because that's why he's looking for the sign of the Son of Man, the sign of Yehuda, the sign, the set up the host. To the Gentiles shall seek, and his rest gonna be glorious, and shalom gonna be glorious. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations. So why does he set up an ensign for the nations? Because that's where we gather. That's where we scatter to. And shall assemble the outcasts of who? Israel. So Israel come later on. The dead and Mashiach come rising first out. Yehuda rising first. And then Israel gonna come in place. This one of the problem that we have. We talked about earlier about outreach. Yeah. Right? But anyway, and gather them into the disperse of Yehuda from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah 49 verse 22. Then said Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles. Remember in Isaiah 13 he said he's gonna wave the hand? That's what that means. I will set up my standard unto the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms. They're gonna see and they're gonna know that it's time to gather. But the gathering don't happen until you see the sign. This is the sign of the Son of Man. So that's why when you see the sign of the Son of Man, his Malachim gathers people from where? The four corners of the earth. Who is the Malachim? You are the Malachim. Yahuwah Sabaoth. What you say, Zip?
We got 3 dislikes already.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the pain. They just have to be ready for it. Yahuwah Sabaoth. Yahuwah the armies. That's why he's calling Yahuwah the first, because Yahuwah is the general. It's the chief of that. How you gonna have a war and don't have the general in place?
We've been calling on him for weeks now.
That's right. See, and like Ma said, people don't understand that when Yahuwah called himself by a certain name, it's for a certain function. So when you hear that Yahuwah Sabaoth, that means that he going to war. So anyway, Yahuwah Nisi, which ties into Yahuwah Sabaoth, because he's the banner. So we look to him when he orders us in our hosts in rank. He basically sets up the ranks. So let's look at this. Let's understand these ranks. The commanding of the banner, when it said the sign of the Son of Man or the ensign of the Son of Man, which is Jehovah Nisi. Yahuwah Nisi. My bad. I'm thinking about some of us. Anyway, Yahuwah Nisi. When you see Yahuwah Nisi and you see Yahuwah Sabaoth, right? It's the ordering of the camps. Everybody say camps. Yes. Not the dudes that be screaming on people on Corner Street, even though they are militant. Right? It's the ordering of the camps. What most people don't realize is that when the scripture talks about the 4 corners or the 4 winds, it's alluding to the camp of the Israelites. Because each camp has an ensign. They have a wriggle. They have an ensign. That's the reason why there's 3 in the north, 3 in the south, 3 in the east, and 3 in the west. The 4 winds. The 4 winds. And then Levi in the middle. So let's look at this. See how fast we can get into this. Let's go to Numbers 2, because ain't nobody going to believe me unless they read it. Let's go to Numbers 2. I didn't believe this. I said, when I really looked, I said, man, that's true. Numbers 2. So what you understand is this. So each tribe, each one of our tribes had a banner, but that's not how they would move. They only moved under 4 banners. Right? So let's look at that. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe and Aharon, saying, every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his what? His own banner. Even the ensign. Look at your ensign right there. Of their what? So each one had a father's house, but each one of the fathers on each side had a main wrinkle that everybody else lined under. So let's look at that. On the east side of the horizon of the son of the standard of the camp of Yehudah pitch throughout his armies. Nashon, the son of Amminadab, the captain of the children of Yehudah, and his hosts, and there were numbered with them about 314,600. And pitch next to them shall be what? Now it don't say that they line up on the Issachar's banner. It says that Issachar is lined on the what? Yehudah's banner. So we see on the east side, Yehudah has his banner, and the other people, the 2 other tribes pitched with him, are under that banner. Right? And his hosts were numbered about 1,406 and 600, I'm sorry. And they do pitch next to him. Next should be Issachar, and Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, and the captain of the children of Issachar. And his hosts, and were 130 and 50 and 4,400. In the tribe of Zebulun. Right? So Zebulun also under the banner of Yahuwah in the camp. Right? And Eliab, his son Helon, the captain of the children of Zebulun, and his hosts were numbered thereof 50 and 7,400. They all were numbered of the camp of Yehudah. See, now they all numbered under Yehudah's camp. Well, 100,000, 400,000, 6,400 throughout all the what? The armies? Yahuwah, Sabaoth, the armies. Now we're talking about the host. If you are a Elohim, you're the order of Melchizedek, it's called, the Elohims are called what? The heavenly hosts. You ever wonder why Israel is called the kingdom of heaven, but it's not in heaven? It's called the kingdom of Elohim, but it's not in Shamayim. Because it got rulership and authority. What cares of that? You are Elohim. Didn't I say ye are Elohims? Where we at? 10. And on the south side should be the standard of Reuben. So we got Reuben, right? He got a standard. According to the armies, according to his armies, and the captain of the children of Reuben shall be Eleazar the son of Shedeur and his host. And the number of them were 4,006,500. And those pitched by him shall be the tribe of Simeon. So Simeon is under his banner. And the captain of the children of Simeon should be Shemuel, the son of Zerishadi. And his sons, and the number of them were 50,300. Then the tribe of Gad, also under the same banner. The captain of the sons of Gad should be Elisaph, the son of Reuel, and his host. And those that were numbered of them were 40,5,650. And all were numbered by the camp of Reuben. So all that is the camp of what? Reuben. So now everybody get the context. I ain't got to read 20-something verses for y'all to see this. So those are the four corners, which are the four winds. We were scattered to where? Four corners of the earth, right? But instead of being alive, we're in graves, right? So this is the way it sets up. There are four standards: Dan, Reuben, Ephraim, and Yehuda. Those are your four standards. Everybody else will line under those camps as far as the host go. We talking about the host, right? Yahuwah, Sabaoth. Yahuwah's host. This is how they line up. This is why Dan is counted as a nation, but not counted as in the priesthood. So again, so look at that. Numbers, I'm just going to read this real fast. We'll keep moving. Got to get the full understanding, and I'm going to finish in some decent time because I want to eat food. Numbers 1, 52 through 53. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, every man by his own standard or banner throughout the host. Yahuwah, Sabaoth. But the Levites pitched in about the tabernacle testimony. And there be no wrath among the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep the charge of tabernacle testimony. So everybody else is in their armies, right? Levi didn't go out to war. I said Levi. So Levi's job was to see about the temple, tabernacle. And they the ones who kept them righteous. So it says, so there would be no curse in the land. So that's the reason why they had to camp around the tabernacle. But in the new host, something's about to happen to Levi. Let's look at this. Once they regathered. And it was told in the symbols of the four banners. So what are the four banners? The eagle, the man, the ox, and the lion. The cherubim. Ye are Elohims. So the count, this is the reason why you were the heavenly host before you knew you were the heavenly host. The four camps, the four faces of the cherubim. The cherubim oversee what? The ark of the testimony. 2 cherubims, right? So you have what? The face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of an ox, and the face of a lion. So when we see this, that the 4 corners are associated with the Malachim. The 4 winds are associated with what? The Malachim. The Malachim have oversight of who? The camps. They're the heavenly host. But they what? They serve Israel. The cherubim, the ox, the face of the ox, the face of the man, the face of the eagle, and the face of the lion. The 4 corners. So now let's look at this. And go back to this. So let's look at this. Let's go back to Ezekiel. Oh yeah, man. Go handle that. I appreciate it. So let's look at this. So again, the question goes, what are we talking about? We talking about resurrection. Remember now, the corruptible must put on, and the mortal must put on. So you're planted as a man, and then you're raised as an Elohim. Planted as a woman, raised as an Elohim. So remember now, all these things start with the grave. When Yahushua sees it, he tells them that you're going to die. Israel's going to die. The nation's going to die.
Pause. Now, families, man, what he is getting you up to right now, families, those that you no longer in the milk of when people talk about you come as babes, families. There are those, man, that has the faith, man, to actually go back into the scriptures, to search the scriptures. Families, he's letting you know about a reincarnation, a resurrection. Being reincarnation, families, is basically like, especially in the spiritual aspect, and in Hebraic aspect, it's like a reincarnation, families. You no longer that old you, but you reincarnated to a what? New you. A new you, so you can what? Resurrect. Once you was dead, now you was resurrecting to become alive, man. All this stuff it's powerful, man. It's powerful, man.
But it's going to be resurrected. This is why you go back to the prophet. He says what? He says their dead bodies are going to lie with what? My dead body. And with my dead body, they will arise. Right? 3 days in Sheol. When they're raised, they're brung back into the camp the way they were sent. The four corners. Ezekiel 37 verse 9. You already got this. Then he said unto me, prophesy unto the what? Unto the what? Prophesy, son of man, and say unto the wind, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, come from where? It's the awakening. So what happens? Once they live, that corruptible has put on incorruption. That mortal has put on immortality. They become the heavenly host. The ox, the face of the ox, the face of the man, the face of the eagle, and the face of the lion. They become a cherubim, a Elohim, somebody who covers the covenant or guards the covenant. Adam was made to do what? Guard the covenant. Guard the garden. Shamar. So let's look at this. After that, it says what? They came to life and stood up what? An exceedingly and great army. From the four corners. Because the angels in the four corners hold the four winds. Who are they? They're the cherubim. The Malachim. Right? You are the Malachim. You are Elohims. You're the heavenly host. Right? The kingdom of Elohim. But you have to be, so now we're looking for the banner because the army has to go back in rank, in file. So let's look at this. Exodus 30 verse 11 to 14. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe saying, when thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then they shall give every man a ransom for his nephesh to Yahuwah. When thou hast numbered them, everybody say numbered them, that there be no plague among them. Now, why would numbering them keep no plague from being amongst them?
didn't go to war and they kept the tabernacle so that no plague would come upon it.
Good job, sis. Good job. Yeah, so remember they dwelt in the middle. When Most High told Levi to dwell in the midst of the four corners, it was so there would be no curse among him. So when they numbered them, each person that's numbered for the host, everybody say host, Yahuwah, Savo, anybody that's numbered from the host had to bring a shekel to the temple. Let's look at that. That they shall give thee everyone that passes among them that are numbered half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs. Half a shekel should be the offering of Yahuwah. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above. That's exactly what he said. Exactly what he said. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered 20 years and above shall give a offering. So in order for you to be in the army, you first had to give, or the host, or the host of Israel, you had to give a shekel. You had to give a tenth of 20, which is 10, of course. It's like a tenth of 20, right? A tenth of the shekel, of the sanctuary. And this is what it does. And thou shalt make atonement, take the atonement money of the children of Israel and appoint it to the service of the tabernacle. So this is why there's no curse among the people, because it's a literal atonement. So before our people would go out to war, before the soldiers would go, they would give to the sanctuary and it would cover them. It would atone for them and cover them before they go out. But you got to understand two things. For one, they had to be 20 years old. Why would it be important that they be 20 years old? They're not children. Why would it be important that they not be children?
Children are on milk.
She on it. She on fire right now. She on fire today. It is symbolic. 20 years old, that means you've come of age. You're no longer on the milk, you're on the meat. You're fully formed. You're no longer a child in understanding. So the 20 years old represent a cutoff time when these people have become, they went from being a child to becoming a man. So those that must be in the host, that's the natural host, those that must be in the heavenly host have to be off the milk and onto the meat. They have to be fully formed in Hamashiach. They can no longer be children in understanding, or they won't be numbered in the host. They have to be atoned for, because they have to come with what? A sacrifice. 8:47. Okay. I don't know if I'm trying to finish this tonight. Who are these people right here? Say it again. The four horsemen of Revelation. Who are the four horsemen of Revelation? What if I told you they part of the host? Every time we look at this, we hear about the four horsemen of Revelation. We are like that they're just like all these bad things that is happening to the earth. They're a part of the heavenly host. They are warriors for the nation of Israel. When the sign of Son of Man, when the Most High lifts up the ensign, he's going to send out the four horsemen. The four horsemen are not something that appeared that starts in Revelation. It's a context in the prophets. We have four horsemen. They control the four winds of heaven, and they fight and survey the nation of Israel. So when the time comes, remember there's three parts to that time period that Mashiach broke down. When he breaks down the last time, which is the time of the resurrection, because after the tribulation is over, he sends out the angels to where? The four winds. So just like he brings us from the four winds, we just read that in Ezekiel, because he calls the dry bones from where? The four winds. He sends the four horsemen, who are the four angels of the four winds, out to the four winds to judge for these people. So just like we see Isaiah 13 and Matthew 24, the same scriptures, Zechariah 6 and Revelation 5 and 6 are the same scriptures. Zechariah 6 is the supervision or inspection. Revelations 5 and 6 is the execution. Good job, sis. The Mishpat and the Shaphat. Yahuwah Shaphat. Right? So when we look at this is the reason why there are four horsemen. I want to finish this, but it's 8:50. I'd rather finish this on Shabbat. But what you're going to see is that you're going to see the numbering of the host. You're going to see the presenting of the banner. You're going to see the sending out of the horses. You're going to see how the horses go. They go and they survey. And then when the time of the tribulation is done, they go to bring the pain. But the four horsemen are warriors for the behalf of the nation of Israel. So, like I said, I wanted to get into this, but it's 8:50. We got a little way to go. But what you're going to understand, once we finish this lesson, you're going to understand the whole process of the grave. And how we remain in the grave until the time of the resurrection. Once we resurrect, according to Ezekiel 37, we'll be the host. We'll be the host. This reason why, again, in Joel, when it says we're the weapons of his Isaiah 13 says weapons of his indignation. We're the mighty ones. We're the cherubim, the angel with four faces, the angel that looks to the four corners, or the Malachim in the four corners. You understand what I'm saying? We're the ones who oversee the Ark of the Covenant, right? We're the ones who guard it, right? That's a matter of fact, that's the commandment for us to guard it, right? And so when we look at these chapters 5, 6, and 7, we're really going to understand the heavenly host, what we're being set apart to do, and how this thing is going to wrap up. And they all go back to Matthew 24. Yahushua said it all in that one scripture. And that one scripture, which he's quoting, is Isaiah 13. And this is one thing that you got to understand about this. I'm going to leave y'all with this. Like I said, we get back on Shabbat. This is the reason why he's talking about this time. Because we just went through Isaiah 13 and I showed how it tied to all this, right? The ensign, the resurrection, the Malachim, coming out the graves, all that kind of stuff. And how Yahushua quoted that. Now look at this. If Yahushua said that Isaiah, basically saying that Isaiah 13 kicks in after the tribulation, or after our tribulation, by the way, which was from 70 AD to now, right? The 400 year, that time to now. So he says once we come out of these things, then he starts quoting Isaiah 13. But what's Isaiah 13? Somebody tell me. Somebody go to Isaiah 13 and tell me what Isaiah 13 is. It's the judgment of Babylon. So what Yahushua is telling you is that the judgment of Babylon happens now. So all these theologians come up with time frames about when this is happening. When Babylon fell, why would Yahushua be quoting the burden of Babylon in the last days? In the times we're in now, in the period we're in now. That shows you that this is Babylon. We are in Babylon. This is the judgment of Babylon. This is the conclusion of Babylon. Once Babylon falls again, it's going to be the resurrection of the dead. only though, but it's gonna be the first resurrection, right? Because Yehuda will be what? Rise first. They're gonna be saved first. They're gonna go into their order, and then the ensign of Yehuda is gonna gather the outcast of Israel, and they're gonna come together. So when we're looking at this, all these things go together. I'm telling y'all, we're getting to them 4 horsemen and the 2 mountains, which I already told y'all what the 2 mountains is in the past. The 2 mountains is Sinai and Zion. But yeah, it's the 2 mountains. The 2 mountains is Zechariah 6. So when you see that the Most High sends out the horsemen, and he don't send the horsemen until he starts to gather and number the host. That's when he sends out the horsemen. And then when the horsemen go out, they go to the 4 corners. They go to all the places that we're gathered, to the 4 corners, and they judge the heathen. So that's the reason why Isaiah 13 talks about how they'll be dashed into pieces, how they'll mourn when they see the sign, and all this other stuff, because he'll wave the hand. All these things tied together because it's the judgment and it's the execution of his will towards us. And you'll see it in Revelation. This is why they're saying, how long? That's the reason why you see those that are beheaded and sitting upon the altar. You see all these things because they're waiting on the time that the Most High gathers the host. But the host is not going to be like the first host. Because the first host, Levi stayed at the house. Levi ain't staying home no more. This next time we go out, their priesthood is going to have a sword. The next time we go out, we're going to go into Zechariah, and you're going to see it. Next time we go out, it's going to be that priesthood. That priesthood is going to have that sword. That priesthood ain't going to be playing with nobody next time we're going around. Because in the past, they had to stay home. They had to stay and secure the nation. There don't be no plagues. This time, they're going to be going out with the sword. And they're going to be slaughtering the wicked. So anyway, that's all I got for today. We could try to finish this, but I want to eat. I don't know about the time we leave here, everybody's gonna be closed. If I get into this, so any questions before we go?
So in Revelations, is that why it shows that the number of 144,000 being part of the army? Is that why it's showing that there's a number going back to what you're saying of numbering the host?
Right, it's commandment to number the host, right? And but remember that a host. The numbering of the host is the securing of the temple. So the 2 things, this is the reason why Dawid was cursed. Because when Dawid did his numbering, he didn't take care of Levi. So anyway, because it goes back to Levi. But going back to the context, yeah. So when you see, this is the reason why they're numbered, because they're sealed and they're numbered. They're not just sealed, right? If you go to Nehemiah, you see those that are sealed, right? So these people are not just sealed, but they're sealed and numbered. And you'll see in the context, this happens after there's a declaration for the Most High to send basically to judge. And that's when he starts numbering the host, right?
Pause. And families, when he's talking about right there, families, is Nehemiah chapter 8, families. And that was in the book of Nehemiah. That's when the prophet came and he started naming each one leader of the 12 tribes, families. And they all read from the book of the law, families. They all read, man, from the book of the law. Where they can get a hidden understanding about what was going on then. The exact same way. How we is reading from the exact same book, families, of the law, so we can get an understanding about today. So, families, I hope this lesson was absolutely powerful. All high esteem to the Most High Yah. Man, my brother King Will.I.Am, beautiful Queen Jack, when they came in the building, man, we want to give a big shout out to beautiful Queen Noche, beautiful Queen Anointed, beautiful Queen Mama Miranda. All those, man, they be coming in, rocking out with us, families. And beautiful Queen Jack, when I want to say I want to thank the Most High Yah fam, sis, man, for really waking you up. I want to thank him, man, for actually letting you go to some of the places that I've been telling people to go, so they can wake up using baby steps. That way that you can actually get to where we at, and there won't be no confusion whatsoever. That way that when you hear certain people spit out certain scriptures and you be like, no, that ain't what they mean, whoop the whoop or whatever, you can be able to help them. You can be able to correct them, families. You know, it only takes a wise man, will receive and obey instructions, man. A wise man. Families, man, take heed to the judgments. Take hearken unto the voice of the Most High. Take heed to the warnings. Take heed to these things, because families, Yasharala is waking up at a mass amount and at a fast rate right now. There gonna be some, they're gonna embrace this like we have, and there gonna be some that will reject it. May the Most High Yah always hold you, guide you, keep you, bless you, and protect you, my brothers and sisters. Where the children of Yasharala at, scattered abroad on all four corners of this planet. I want to say that we are out here. Let's go. Shalom, families. Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.